So this is the Bellular video that he finally put out about Dragonflight. And this is his actual opinion about it. I'm very curious to hear what this is.
Our next expansion has been announced. Yep, Dragonflight was revealed, and it's actually a significant departure from the way World of Warcraft has been developed since Legion.
True.
That's the main exciting thing for me.
They're
taking
I feel the same
a
way.
bold enough step into a World of Warcraft without borrowed power.
Yep.
And I think in a direction that looks very different to Shadowlands. And straight up, there's a lot that therefore sounds really good so far, but I would not expect this to release in 2022. Very much seems that Wrath of the Lich King Classic is
No shot it's coming out this year. Like, literally 0% chance. I think the middle of next year at the best.
going to bridge the gap with its 2022 release date, plus of course
Wrath, it's gonna be
9.2.5 and Season 4 of Shadowlands, meaning I am expecting Q1 2023 at the earliest, especially because this was a more sparse announcement than usual, quite notably not having a gameplay trailer. What I'm going to do in today's video is run down what I think the good things are, what a few of my worries are, my overall opinion of this expansion thus far. Details
I think it's probably because they're not done with the features yet. Like, that's probably it. Like, straight up, I think it's because they're not ready. That's fine.
are of course beginning to emerge via interviews, so come back to the channel tomorrow and I will give you a full breakdown into everything else that is there to know.
Okay.
But I'll tell you I know this much. My curiosity is piqued. And if World of Warcraft was to ever get itself properly back on track and recovering, then changes like these would be the first step in that.
Exactly.
And you can take your first steps with Skillshare, today's sponsor, where we're going to learn some game development. And the first 1,000 of you to follow my link or use the promo code.
You guys ever
Bellular
use
Gaming,
something like this? Is this good?
You'll get a free month of a Skillshare Premium. So here's the deal. Michael Moore wants to teach you programming and Unity. Now, look, I did the more hardcore C++ and GLSL stuff in custom engine programming in university. Let me tell you,
I messed it
not
up
that
a lot.
useful. This is the way to actually learn if you just want to dive in and make some vidya.
Yeah.
Plus, learning by doing is the best. It's the most fun. So what better way to learn C# than to actually make games in Unity? Plus, Michael's courses are on the modern versions of Unity, which is dead handy. I mean, once I've carved out a bit more free time, I'm going to loop back into the more advanced stuff as a quick little refresher so I can get up to speed with the the major changes that have happened to Unity since
I tried to learn programming. It didn't work. Like, I am too much of a fuck up to do programming. Like, like, there would be like an extra period somewhere. There'd be a closed bracket instead of an open bracket. There'd just be something wrong with it. I am just such a fuck up, man.
I was last doing core development
now.
work.
Yeah, did it get nerfed?
Now, these are the
Is it a new
resources
patch?
that just flat out didn't exist when I or my friends were starting off. And believe me, if I could swap
easier. I know it is, to a
university
certain degree.
for this, I actually would. It would be a lot cheaper, and I'd actually be in using Unity, which would be great. So check out Michael's stuff, do some game jams, meet people in your local game dev scene. That's the real way to get started. These are great for beginners. They'll take you right through, so they're just awesome. He's got 2D, 3D, building an RPG. It's just a brilliant resource, and you can get it on Skillshare.
Yeah,
the online
the visualization of it makes it way better.
With my link,
like, we had a
or with
really
code
old school
Bellular
guy that
Gaming.
made us
I mean,
actually
come on,
type
what better
everything.
way to use your free month? Okay.
It was also like 10 years ago,
Let's talk about the good of Dragonflight.
Okay, here we go.
Tone. Dragonflight has a tone of exploration and adventure. That is exactly what I want. I know the cinematic didn't have like a crazy moment to get you pumped like WODs or BFAs. That's kind of okay for me. WoW,
that's fine.
Let's be honest here, pretty damn try-hard and edgy with BFA and Shadowlands. Right? And it didn't work. So much the Shadowlands lore stuff, and it was just a wee bit cringy, to be honest. So this is a break from that. It seems like a...
In my opinion, the two best cinematics were Wrath of the Lich King and Warlords of Draenor. All of the other cinematics besides that, I think were just a solid, at least one grade level below that. Like, those two, like Classic is great too, in a different way, sure. But, like, it was so fucking badass. Yeah,
genuine
BC,
break from that.
not as
And
good as
when you go
Wrath
through
or
the
One.
interviews,
Not
at
even
least
close.
the very preliminary ones, words like classic and Azeroth and
Yeah.
grounded keep on appearing again and again and again. They've made it very clear they want to go back to giving people a more grounded slice of just high fantasy Azeroth. I know grounded and high fantasy are like kind of different terms, but you get what I mean. The sort of older
back to
core
what the
Warcraft
game used
that
to
we
be.
used to know.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. Things were getting out of hand. I think they were pushing the lore in a direction where, you know, they couldn't keep on just like, you know, the big bad guy and then topping that big bad guy and then topping that. And that it would get kind of silly, you know? The firstest ones, the before times. No, this is just like a nice slice of Azeroth. Now, that's not to say that we don't have threats. As an example, there's these primal dragons who didn't sign up with the Titans and the followers of Galakrond. So that certainly does hint at things that will be impactful for the lore. I think importantly, though, that we'll explore the Titan lore from the perspective of the Titan Watchers. Just
I think that's really cool. What I think is gonna, I think Galakrond is gonna be the last boss. I think so, and I think that would probably be. Maybe they'll come up with something way cooler than that. But I think that we will try to stop them from resurrecting Galakrond, and they'll win. They'll get They will res him.
The Rock Boy that everybody likes from the cinematic. And that's very much how vanilla World of Warcraft
Spine of
gave us Titan
Galakrond.
lore.
Who's ready?
So for me, that's a really, really good change of speed. Talent trees. Oh man, this is good.
Oh
so
my god.
they're not just talent trees like what we used to have in the past. I think more importantly, the thing to understand is that these are replacements for borrowed power like artifacts, Azerite, and covenants.
Yeah, your class
Wow,
is just
that's
good.
Great. Kind of wild. Because I just remembered so many people who play World of Warcraft now have never known anything else. They've always had the game be driven by bing, bing, wahoo, bolt-on, borrowed power stuff.
Bing, bing,
so it's
wahoo.
kind of weird. It's like we're all...
That's is that what you call it now? Is that what the Azerite is? Bing, bing, wahoo. Corruption, wow. Wow. Yeah, it's perfect, man.
Old-timers if we played Moppin before, or Wrath or whatever. So I think a lot of people are going to get into this expansion, and they're going to feel naked. You know, we've been trained to
That's how we
focus
feel every
on
expansion,
these systems, these bars to fill, these, you know, soul binds to bulk out, the renown to get, that I think for a lot of people, they're just going to feel naked when they hit.
Well, I think there's still going to be a lot more bullshit that we've got to do. I think that's a good thing. You've got to give the players something to do. Yep. But however, I do think that, you know, like, give it something that has permanence. Permanence is what matters.
Max level in this expansion, like, oh, I finished my talent tree. What do I do next?
Convoke and Druidry.
Forgetting that, like, we're kind of here to play the video game.
Yeah, of course.
So
Convoke
to
is
me,
a great
it's
spell.
extremely refreshing to basically have the game back. Because really, I know how good that feels from playing before Legion. I do think for many, though, it will be a bit funky. It'll feel a little bit different. That's okay. Sometimes change feels a bit strange, but it is for the best. Now, the idea then of splitting talents between class and spec, I also think that's really neat. Just, you know, giving us the class fantasy and then letting them just do cool things with the specs. I know at least for the Druid tree, there was a lot of things that people are actually quite excited by.
Yeah, I mean, and then, oh, look at this. You have different, I know we're going to use it, loadouts. You have different, like, presets. Let's call them presets. So, like, you have the Mythic one. You have the AoE one. And like, we had this, like, you guys might not remember this, but there was a time many years ago whenever we didn't have gear wardrobe managers. Like, they didn't add that into WoW until, like, Cataclysm or like, Mists of Pandaria. So before that, you used to have a macro or an add-on that would do it for you. It was a real cock ass. So, like, I feel like every other game has this now. It's like WoW should have it. It's a good thing. It's
and
big
if
good.
I think about, you know, a new expansion, it's just, hey, here's 10 more levels, 10 more talent points, a few more talents. There you go. Done. And they wouldn't need to add 10 talent points worth of new talents. They could just add, like, 2 new talents or 3 new talents, but you'll be able to go a little bit more broad into the existing ones. You know, they could add talents horizontally rather than vertically. There's quite a few things they could do there that should make this just
gives them a lot of freedom.
extensible system that thankfully will stand to the game for years.
Yeah.
And development time on throwaway systems like shards, covenant powers, it's just that. It's time spent on things that we know are going to go into the bin.
I feel like that's why people don't like them. That's one big reason why people don't like them. Is that like, whenever you were farming Shards of Domination in the last patch, was anybody thinking, wow, this is really gonna matter in 2 years? No, it's just bing, bing, wow, look at the rock, I got a rock, it makes me run fast. Oh, who cares? You see what I'm saying? Like, nobody gives a motherfucker, right? And so, I was even farming. No, I wasn't either. Like, I wasn't doing Mythic. I'm like, fuck this. I don't need this for PvP. Who cares? Yeah, that's all there was. And so, every time that Blizzard does a system like that just gets deleted, they effectively threw that development time away. You see what I mean? So, like, every time that they have one of these systems, there's never a compounding point. And like, you can contrast this with PoE. With PoE, every new league brings in new content that will exist for a very long period of time. It's like a bestiary is still in the game. Like, Breach is still in the game. When did Breach come out? 2015, 2012, 2014? I don't remember. It was years ago. Years and years and years. Synthesis? Well, we still have Cortex. You still have Twisted Distant Memory. You can still synthesize items. You can still get certain synthesized uniques. Like, you do have that carried forward. Yeah, Talisman is still in. It sure is. Old Harvest was too OP. Of course they had to get rid of it. But yeah, just overall, like, I feel like that's why players, for example, like, are more okay with things like in PoE or Lost Ark. Because they know that these things will carry forward. Talismans, oh, they got rid of talismans. I remember they were like, talismans were like just like sleeper OP if you got the right one, but then you couldn't get fucking the enchants on them, whatever they called, not engravings, whatever it was. I don't remember. I don't know where it stands right now. I'm not sure.
Like, how many spells do they make for every class and every covenant to work with every spec for Shadowlands, most of which are going to go into the bin?
It's too much time, man.
Now, if we think about a World of Warcraft that doesn't have all of that borrowed power, that development time is going to be going more and more and more into things that will actually stand to the video game, making expansions feel like expansions rather than replacement recycles.
That's such a smart way to look at it, Bellular. I really think that is... Yeah, that's a really good way to say it. Totally agree with you. Totally agree.
The previous expansion, where sometimes even the core classes could end up feeling a bit stagnant. So that all seems really good to me.
Watch, yeah, he showed me the unlisted version of the video.
Might actually allow them to build the game, build the core game experience, the gameplay again, and that is good.
Flying updates, here we go.
Flight that feels like flying, yes! Oh man, Dragonflight actually looks like it could be really fun. I mean the feature, not the expansion, but that too. You know, this thing, right? Sometimes we get very much, you know, we're filled by...
I think that, like, if they're gonna do this Dragonflight thing, I really hope that they don't try to hold on to an idea that's, like, dumb. Like, please, Blizzard, let's not have the thing where, oh, you're gonna love it, and then people get it, they're like, well, we don't love it. They're like, well, we're listening to your feedback and we're gonna change it. Like, well, we fucking said this before. You know, please don't do that again.
Our spreadsheet gamers, and we sometimes can forget about the fun. Yeah. You know, finding the toy in a game, the thing that's just intrinsically enjoyable.
I want boss fights where you can fight with them on the dragons.
That's an important thing in a game. Yeah. And MMOs can suffer from that because of their format. And that's why flying that actually feels like flight, I think, is brilliant. It is a way for Blizzard to do flying in a way that actually gives them lots of opportunities for gameplay design, and it, I think, could have a really nice knock-on effect on how these zones are designed. I mean, even think about, say, Storm Peaks, like it was designed with flying in mind.
True.
Now, the way that this flying works is very much like you have momentum, there's physics.
Yeah.
Now, okay, it could all just be animation driven. It's hard to know if it'll literally be very physicsy in the implementation. But the idea is, if you want to get really high, well, your dragon's only got so many flaps in it, so you've got to find somewhere, you know, do a big dive, do a swoop.
So you're literally not flying, you're falling with style. Like, we are straight up Buzz Lightyear at this point. Straight up. Like Torrent, yeah, that's As long as we're gliding, yes, kind of. As long as it is fun to do. Okay? Like, I feel like something like this, like, it sounds really, really fucking cool, but I feel like it could also be implemented really, really fucking badly. So I'm not sure.
All of that stuff. So you'll actually feel like you're flying this beast.
Yeah.
And that actually means the player's skill could be involved there. This could very much take collection gameplay to another level.
Oh, that would be
lots of
fucking
interesting ways to reward players, so that's quite nice.
That would be cool.
And it can let them do fun things, like races. I mean, remember the races in Netherwing? Cool. Like, that was kind of cool. But this time round, there's going to be actual flying mechanics.
I agree with that.
Now, there's 4 mounts. There's many different customizations for each. There is also an elephant in the room. And sometimes people can get very touchy, very defensive over this. They were on Twitter, and like, I'm sure this is going to earn me a few snide comments, but I'm still going to do it. So this is straight up from Guild Wars 2. Now, borrowing an inspiration is, of course, great.
Thank God. This is what I said earlier. Thank God. Blizzard is back. Blizzard is back to its basics. Taking ideas from other games and then putting them in their game and making them a little bit better and then passing it off as their own. Stealing from other people. That is, like, I mean, all the lore, like the entire Titans lore is pretty much ripped off from Lord of the Rings. It's like the exact same. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because fine. Just do it. If it's good, it worked for Lord of the Rings, worked for Silmarillion. Yep, do it again. Sounds good. Oh, there's a Titan that got corrupted. Oh, like Melkor? Yeah, exactly like him. Okay, yeah, it sounds great. Do it. If it ain't broke.
On the shoulder of giants. That's how things develop. I mean, I've literally advocated for taking inspiration from Guild Wars 2 mounts in World of Warcraft.
Wait a minute. Bellular was watching my... Was this on my subreddit? Oh my God. Oh my fucking God. You know what? Now, it was on the WoW Reddit? Really, it was. Okay, yeah, no, WoW subreddit. Okay, I didn't know. Stealing from one is plagiarism, stealing from many is research. Well, stealing from other companies to make the game better is good for me, the player.
I will say is that as somebody who, knows both games, the literal animations are mega identical. The difference being the Guild Wars 2's ones feel more weighty and give you a better sense of speed. So that's, like, iffy. And I will say the Guild Wars 2 stuff, like, can confirm, mounts are just incredible. The best mounts in any MMO, by far.
I've heard a lot of good things about mounts in that
fundamentally, that they're bringing some of that to World of Warcraft is genuinely really exciting for me. But I think Blizzard are a tad close to their neighbor, and in being so close, they're setting up a challenge for themselves.
What's that?
If World of Warcraft, because of the engine being old or whatever, struggles to get Dragonflight feeling as good as Guild Wars 2, like Griffin,
That's
the
true.
Dragonfly,
That's a good point.
Then to some people, it will feel like a cheap knockoff. Now, I know some fanboys are already super up in my grill for pointing this out, which is kind of weird, because I remember when people clowned on like a Chinese knockoff mobile game or something for having almost identical dragon flying animations to WoW's.
Well, like whenever they have like you ever seen this? They have a picture of Illidan and he's got like a different color bandana and his name is like Billidan. And it's some fucking like random Chinese mobile game, and it's actually an auto battler where you're just like fighting, like Billidan. Yeah, it's like Billidan. I'm serious. Like, y'all seen these? I see these all the time, man.
So it's like the Blizz animations are really, really similar. So I'm just surprised Blizz didn't differentiate themselves just like a little bit more, even in terms of like the visual effects or stuff like that. And yeah, ArenaNet did not invent physics, flying, birds diving, or anything like that. Yeah. But it is just the gameplay implementation of the feature that just feels, at least on first showing, a little bit close to the source material.
I hope they don't actually try to make it super realistic with inertia and physics. Because you know what games are really super realistic with inertia and physics? PUBG and Dark Souls 1. And guess what? The character movement in those games is inferior to games like Elden Ring and Fortnite and Warzone. EFT, see, I haven't played EFT, so I don't really understand it. Yeah, I haven't played it. But like what I'm saying, PUBG is so janky. Yeah, because moving your character around feels like driving a car. Like, I don't care about it being realistic. Make it fun and smooth to play.
But hey, unlike Guild Wars 2, you can get new skins and customizations for your dragon without going to the gem store.
That's really cool.
And that's pretty damn big for collection gameplay,
big,
isn't it?
And true.
Anyway,
and real.
Look, this does look fun. In a way, this is flying from day one in the new expansion, which is pretty damn cool. I know it's basically just super gliders, but look, I would take this over flying as we have it in the game. Because I'm a big believer in, you know, the actual game stuff, like, you know, feeling like, well, just things feeling, you know, immersive or whatever. So your other mounts aren't going to be flying in the Dragon Isles. You'll be using this system. And look, I think this will have great knock-on effects for some aspects of content and zone.
I'm glad that they're trying it. This is an outdoor idea. It's I would say it's totally new. It's totally new to WoW. Like, let's try it. Let's see what's going to happen. At least it's not, oh, okay, we have a new raid system, and so this time it's a artifact trinket, and you have to farm trinket points, and you can only get 12 a week, but you can only get 2 a day. So you have to be live, play the game 6 days a week. It's just like, no, just do something fucking fun. Add something fun into the game. If it sucks, and just get rid of it.
Design. And I'd probably be happy if this
trinket points, you guys
general
like that?
way of doing things made it to some other mounts. I mean, seriously, Guild Wars 2 mounts are just awesome. Even the basic Raptor mount feels so good to use. So yeah, I'm happy they've borrowed from Guild Wars 2. I've been calling for this for years. I just want there to be enough of Blizzard's own spin in this feature to differentiate it.
Oh, I don't care about that. They can steal the whole thing as long as it's fun to play. Yeah, they steal the whole thing. Yeah, take the whole thing if you want. Like, as long as it's fun to play, I don't give a shit. Okay, that's it. While normal mounts work on Dragon Isles, they will work, but they won't fly. So yeah, you just fly with this dragon, and that's it. Yeah, I think the dragon riding thing is going to be interesting. Yeah, absolutely. Steel Guardian raids from Lost Ark. Yes. Do it. Yes. Steal them. Absolutely. Yes. Yes. 100%. I want it. Minus the bullshit.
Speaking of other games, well, Professions of...
By the way, if one of the NPCs doesn't tell you to do a barrel roll whenever they're teaching you dragon riding, I'm refunding the game. Yeah, I'm refunding the game. Like, there's no reason. Like, they have to tell you to do a barrel roll. Like, I mean, we have to have some standards here, okay, guys? Somebody needs standards.
Seen a rather FF14 inspired shakeup, and that is a good thing. There's now crafting having its own gear, so you'll actually have sets of gear for your crafting profession.
Oh, I didn't hear them say that. I thought the gear was just cosmetic. Did I hear wrong, or is Bellular wrong? Yeah, which one is it? He's right? Really? Okay, so we're actually getting crafting gear? Oh my god. Oh my god. I did not even realize this. Thought it was transmogs.
Like quality levels and stuff. Stats. It all looks great from what they showed.
Wow.
And, you know, I used to like Professions back in the day. Kind of fell out of love with them. This is really piquing my interest as an actual reason to come back. It looks like there'll be much more progress.
Actually, wait a second. Sorry.
It all looks great.
So it looks like we're not actually getting a stat squish. Yeah, so we're not getting a stat squish. Because you look at those stats, those numbers, 274 stamina and shit. Yeah, we're not getting a stat squish.
With them, this is really piquing my interest as an actual reason to come back. It looks like there'll be much more progression to the Professions, more just... You know, more things where it's like you've been a blacksmith for a while. Mm-hmm. Now, like you feel accomplishment from that. You know, you have your gear set as a blacksmith. You've went into, you know, your whatever specialization you have within blacksmithing.
I think it'd be more like WOD.
It just seems way more strong in terms of player fantasy. And the gear thing won't be a pain in your bag space because you'll auto swap into your crafting or gathering gear whenever you're doing that activity.
Yeah.
Now then,
that's
add to
smart.
that there's basically a crafting hub with like work tables in the new city, and it's all in one area. And it really seems like they want to deliver people that like gameplay fantasy.
Well, it's
of
like from New
crafting
World.
and gathering, and just that being pushed more.
Like
than
they
ever.
had this in New World. Like it was actually really cool. I would say in New World, the fact that you had all the boys posted up in Everfall doing stuff, and you could see everybody doing stuff. That was cool. I like that. New World totally invented this. You're right. New World actually invented worlds. But like I'm just saying, New World as it's good. Like yeah, I think that was a good thing about the game. Yeah, it was a good thing about the game. Absolutely.
Before is great. So between this and the talents, what we're basically seeing here is Blizzard working on the basic quality of World of Warcraft, and that's really nice because those talents will stand to the next expansion. This crafting overhaul will also stand to the next expansion. I just love that. There's also a really neat feature I didn't expect, and that's work orders. It's really cool. You can basically put up requests to craft an item and even supply your own materials, and then through the work order system, a crafter can craft it. There's room for payment and, tips and the like. So it's
I am not fully confident that this system will turn out the way Blizzard intends it to. I'm going to be honest. I am not fully confident that this will happen. I don't know. Like I am very skeptical about this. So we'll see what's going to happen, but I don't know. It's a good system. It worked in Final Fantasy XIV. Let's see what it looks like whenever the game actually comes out.
kind of a nice way for somebody to put their crafting to work without needing like a really big upfront material investment. I just thought it...
What I'm saying is, like, I guess, like, one way to say it is, like, so if the only thing that you have to do is just click a button to craft the item, what's to stop one person from just filling every single work order for blacksmith items that are of that type? Just, like, click, 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 click. A cooldown? See, like, that's what I'm wondering about. Like, maybe it's a CD. Because, like, that's what, again, that's what New World does. Is, like, how many people buy Asmodium CDs every day. People buy Glittering Ebony CDs every day.
Was neat.
CDs nuts.
So look, this
True.
all just seems way better in the professions front,
Commission
and I'm
fatigue.
really interested in it.
You have to go to the
Next
store
up then,
to
the
buy-
world looks great.
to buy
It looks like
undo
a
for
slice of Warcraft. I mean, there's a zone
Yeah,
that I think is
yeah.
best described as being pan-Northrend, complete with Tuskar. That's obviously
Yeah.
up my alley.
Fuck
Now, they've
yeah.
talked about also big open zones
great.
to the point where they've even increased the maximum view distance. And that is something that I love to hear. Zones, I think, have tended to get a bit too cramped and over-complex. You know, they feel...
I feel like that too, man. Like, it's like every single square inch of the fucking, of the zone has like 3 caves in it. There's like 3 caves. Like, you go here and there's like 3 levels and there's a cave and there's like something else. Like, oh my God, it's too much, man. Like Korthia. Like, I think that, you know what was really good about places like Dragonblight to an example, like Grizzly Hills, right? It's like every place had like kind of a purpose, but not every square inch. There's also just like a grandeur of the zones. I thought it was good. Korthia, in my opinion, is probably the worst zone Blizzard has ever made. Yeah, pretty much. Yep. The Maw is way better. I honestly think the Maw is substantially better.
more like game levels, less like regions in an immersive world.
Here's the reason. Is the Maw, at least the Maw keeps you awake because you're listening to the music and it's like da-da! And just like out of nowhere, right? But Korthia, you listen to that music and it's just like, it's like depression music. It is. It's depression sounds. It's like, it's just like, I listen to this and you're like just sad. Oh my God.
So I like the words they're saying. Art-wise, I think, as usual, fantastic. So on the whole, this is more appealing on first glance to me than the Shadowlands zones. In principle, we obviously need to see
love
how
the
it panned
Shadowlands
out.
zones. I thought they
an
were
example,
great.
I thought Ardenweald looked really cool in concept, but I think it was kind of disappointing in reality.
I thought Ardenweald was awesome. I liked Ardenweald a lot. I thought Revendreth was super cool. Yeah, I thought they were great. You know what zones really suck dick? Is the Horde zones in BFA. Fuck them, though. That's what they get.
Just, you know, some of the design you know, the amount of brown and stuff like that. So, you know, I'm not calling this as, oh, brilliant, you know, fantastic zones, but I really do like what they showed off.
Mega reps.
Old school reps aren't back. Rather, they've actually turned the Covenant system into basically mega reps.
I don't know. I think old school reps are back. I think there are just some mega, like what is called mega reps, right? I think there are some mega reps that exist independently of that. Like we're getting both of them.
It could work. First, there's 0 player power attached. Second, there's basically one of these big reps for each zone, and you can do all 4 at the same time. There's no restrictions like with the Covenants. Now, Renown is there as a way of going through the rep. That could be an issue.
Why?
Now, it's weird. They say they like the Renown system in the interviews, which I kind of disagree with for Shadowlands anyway. And they kind of indicated not being unhappy with time gating. So those things I'm, you know, a little bit iffy over. But
I think that pacing the story to where you can't do the whole thing in like one day is like not that big of a deal. But I think that it should come out quickly. This should not be dragged out for 2 months. Give it like maybe, remember back, you know what was really good? Is like, remember back in Legion where it was like a 3-week story. Where like the first week was where like fucking we helped, I think we got Alarian and Terralion, and then the second week was like whenever Illidan disenchanted the Naru, and like the third week was whenever I forgot, maybe that was the first week, I don't remember, but there was like 3 different weeks of quest line progress, and each week people looked forward to the next one because they were excited for it, right? Like that's what I think that they should do, but just make sure it's like 3 or maybe like 2 to 4 weeks, right? Like don't make this like an 8-week thing. It's too much.
But if you think about all of the stuff within
too.
a Covenant, kind of just turning that into a really, really big, you know, juiced up version of an old school, like pre-WoD rep, actually does sound good enough. It sounds like that could be a vehicle for a hell of a lot of world content. So I'm not going to call this as a brilliant thing, but certainly they've carved out room to do quite a lot of content.
Yeah.
New race and class then, that sure is interesting.
I'm gonna be honest, bro, like, I see that, like, that right there. It looks like literal trash. Like, I've been so positive about this expansion, but the customization for these models is literal trash. Like, it's not good. As I said, I don't like the aura in Final Fantasy. I think this is part of a personal vendetta that I have against dragon-type human races. I think they're stupid, and they always look bad. But it's like you're taking these, this is like a 2D chain, man. It's a 2D chain. Like, the fuck? Just don't make this an option. Like, why make something an option? Like, why give players the ability to look like fucking garbage?
Same goes for the reaction to them. I'm putting it in the good category still, but I do get that for some people it's a letdown because this race is a bit more slender and sometimes straight up goofy with odd looking proportions compared to, say, the Draconids that were like the kind of big, bulky chunkers that people maybe would have expected from this. So a bit of a departure from the usual in WoW. Yeah, they sure did that. You know, we've got slender twink dragon casters, I suppose, which perhaps you could say is a bit of a mismatch for what people wanted from a dragon race.
Well, it's because, listen, like, a lot of people that play MMOs, most people that play WoW are guys. And so, like, what is the male class fantasy for most people? A big, beefy guy. You know? It's like The Rock, or like Arnold Schwarzenegger, or like a guy that works out. You know, maybe not like Z's, you know, like, not somebody who's like massive, right? A big bodybuilder, but like a guy that's like, he's got muscles, he's in shape, he knows what's going on, right? Like, I think so in general. Like, yeah, nobody, like, no, bro, people are not going around. That's not, like, yeah, it's not it. Like, some people are going to try to go around and look however the fuck, right? But I think most guys want to fucking play a character who's fucking badass, right? Like, absolutely. Maybe it's just me, but that's what I think. And so these characters, these are just like, oh, little baby dragons. Ooh, nah, man. Like, make their forearms and their chest bigger. You know, like, make it look like they work out, man. If that's possible, I want to see it.
For what they are, though, I mean, the customization options do seem super in-depth for both the base and Visage form of the Drakthir. They probably, I think, could have went for something that would be a bit more broad appeal for the existing Warcraft audience, but it is what it is. I don't really mind. I'd be happy enough to try it out.
I cannot express how much I dislike this one. This one, as I said, these are kind of okay. This one, I have seen better stuff on DeviantArt. Like, it is just, it's so bad. I'm not a fan.
Now, getting a male wearing range DPS and healer, I think it's good to have another male wearer in there. And
Yeah,
the class does seem cool.
be.
I mean, that big like breath button, that looks fun. It's got these hold to cast empowered buttons where, you know, you hold the button in, and the longer you hold it, different things happen. And one example was a spell being 1, 2, or 3 targets. But
Yeah,
I think we just
from
need to
Lost
wait and
Ark.
see how they actually feel to
Other
play.
games I'm sure have it too, but I know
Now,
Lost Ark
tying the
does.
race and the class does make sense. The Evoker class, which is what it's called, it fits the physiology of the Drakthir. You know, they've got like the wing buffet, tail attacks,
Yeah.
some things like that. But maybe it's a bit odd they can't be a mage or something like that. But I suppose there would be some implications there on, like, you know, maybe animations, cost. I don't really know.
I think it would be cool if at the end of the expansion they gave a thing where, because the humans and the dragons have learned to live together in harmony, the Drakthir can now learn the arcana of the humans, and the humans can learn the secrets of the evokers. I think this would be cool. Oh, but then how could they do the dragon? I don't know. Have them go into a dragon form whenever they do it. But that's not the same. Who cares? It's fine. Like, yeah, I think that would be totally okay. Shaman too? Yeah, have them be shamans too. Yeah, there you go.
But hey, it is a whole big new chunk of gameplay, so it is something I'm looking forward to.
I think they should. I don't think they should plan on that yet. I think they should release it the way they're going to, and then just see how players react, and then do it based off of that.
Super quick in UI. Look, this may not be big for some, but WoW having UI that is just a bit more clean and modern out of the box, I think is a really good thing.
Big good.
Especially since it does have that customization
Big
if you want to
good.
tailor it to your own needs. I think this is good for new players, and I think that is important for World of Warcraft's long-term health.
Absolutely.
Another important point is just admissions. Look, I think suffice to
those
say,
are people that told me I didn't
Blizzard
get into college.
acknowledging things got a bit shitty. That it certainly filled a few slots on our live stream bingo.
I feel like they're not happy with Ian at Blizzard, and they made him be the one that basically in the announcement is like, hey, you gotta tell him like this, like you remember that stupid fucking idea you had? Yeah, you're gonna be the one that tells him that we made a mistake. Yep, you have to do it, Ian. Come on, let's go. Yeah, that's what they made him do, man.
I am extremely cautious, though, given their track record of getting claps for taking away the bad thing in the current expansion. But look, if you read between the lines and even just what Ian straight up said, it's quite clear that they know things went quite off track.
Yeah.
That is good to hear. Now, if it felt less PR-ish and a bit more direct, as maybe the FF14 tells it to, that would...
Yeah, he does look a bit tired, man. Like, that sucks. Like, it actually sucks. Like, a lot of these companies, man, like, on the real, like, they, like, work people to the fucking bone, man. That they bust your ass. It sucks, man. And I bet probably, like, I mean, people shitting on him constantly doesn't, you know, feel good either. Like, I'm sure that, like, I mean, I know I joke around with it, right? But, like, actually, like, I'm sure it probably sucks. Again, I'm sure it probably sucks.
Would be nice, but I think for a big company like Blizzard, where, you know, it is the way it is, I suppose, where, like, I think Ian, even if he wanted to say, hey, sorry, we really went off track there, I'm sorry, we're going to try a bit harder
my
this time.
bad.
Like, I don't
Oops.
think he's even allowed to talk like that because of how their PR engine seems to work, but it was at least nice to see those admissions and then to see very much bold action based on those admissions with things like the talents.
See, that's what I really think, is that it's about the fact that they actually have made changes rather than we, like, because here's the thing. Hazel and Bajira got interviews on the way leading up to Shadowlands. That this is nothing new. They've done this before. It's great to see. We watch the interviews. It's nice. However, a lot of these times, like, I feel like the tone with the interviews is a little bit different because there's no big, like, obvious problem that the expansion has that the developers are just refusing to acknowledge. I think that's what the difference is. You see kind of what I'm saying is like it's, but like, I mean, to be fair, like that actually is different, isn't it? Like, yeah, it's like, yeah, they didn't show many gameplay features. That's smart yet. Well, no, here's the thing, right? Is like right now, I think that it's important to be positive whenever things are good and to be negative whenever things are bad. Because if you're always positive or you're always negative, you're being unrealistic. So like whenever I see something that's cool, I'm like, wow, that's really cool. And if I see something that's bad, I'm like, wow, that's really bad. But if you don't do one or the other, then I think that your opinion doesn't really matter. Like, I take it less seriously.
Just a quickie, alt friendliness, I think it's going to be humongously fundamentally increased because there's no borrowed power. Simple as that. You reach level 70, you fill out your talents, that's it. It's just gear. That is exactly what we want. Less risky. The design here is less risky, I think.
True.
A while ago, you know, I mentioned even a 7 out of 10 or 8 out of 10 expansion is something I'd be happy with if it just didn't grate on me all the time with friction. Ian even mentioned the word friction in the like little thing they did.
Yeah,
so,
I mean,
look,
that's what I've been talking about forever.
I just need a solid slice of World of Warcraft content without the major pitfalls. Kind of seems like that's what they want to deliver.
Well, that's good. I mean, the thing is, like,
okay, if you
people have their expectations with the game now. I mean, people don't want. There are some things like, yeah, sure, people want crazy stuff, right? But also, like, you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. Like, just do the content people want to see. You don't have to invent some new big bad guy or something like that. Do an expansion for the Scarlet Crusade. Well, I thought we beat them. They're back. Why? I don't know. Read the book. You know, like, we'll figure that out later. And like, that's okay. And so, like, that's the way I see it, man. Yeah, just get into that stuff, and I'll be happy.
Finish this off with. So this is less a worry, but it is
WoW
something
players aren't
to
that
think
hard
about.
to please.
Blizzard have trained their players to focus on borrowed power systems as the primary means of progression and motivation within World of Warcraft. They've trained people to play this game in a certain way.
Yes.
So removing that is going to feel super rough for many of the newer WoW players. And I just wonder how that's going to play out, and I wonder too how they're going to iterate on gearing. Anyway, then, without as much of a focus on that style of progression, Dragonflight very much puts the focus firmly on how good the content and the gameplay is. So will the core content be fun? Will there be innovation in the basics?
And that's what really matters. I think that's where you lose a lot of people. Most people, the lore isn't a reason why people quit playing the game. It's kind of like a cherry on top, but it's not the reason.
Great example here is Blizzard struggling with the oddly named World Quest 2.0 of Shadowlands that kind of boiled down to just being slow and more annoying in terms
of... The 2.0 was referring to the amount of time that they would take to complete. That's it.
Of game feel. So how will they innovate on world content?
Very
cool.
Will
they borrow Guild Wars 2 events? I don't know. They haven't really talked about what this stuff will look like. I imagine because this expansion isn't coming out this year. Basically, World of Warcraft has spun its wheels for years, wasting time on borrowed power dead ends that really didn't matter to the long-term quality of the game.
True.
And that means that on the actual game bit, they're now playing catch-up.
I feel like the game hasn't really been innovated since Legion. I don't think so. I feel like BFA didn't really add anything that mattered. And neither did Shadowlands, really. Like, it wasn't innovated at all. Like, it's just like, okay, Legion innovated? Yeah, it totally changed, like, a bunch of shit, man. Yeah, Renown, I guess, like, yeah, I mean, we have, like, a few little small things. Yeah, Corruption was cool, yeah, but they didn't continue it.
So how much will they catch up? Shadowlands, as an example, saw one of the worst zones ever added to the game in Korthia, and then, one of the better ones in Zereth Mortis. How will it go? I think Dragonflight will need to innovate beyond Zereth Mortis. Honestly, if you're in the mood for stealing things from Guild Wars 2, take a look at their meta events and how their modern, like, expansion zones feel. They're really cool. Essentially here, they've got a lot more game to design because they can't lean on borrowed power progression kind of working in people's psychology. And that means that this could be underwhelming, or it could be quite magnificent. So, to end, is WoW on the up? I can't tell you how good this expansion is going to be. I can't tell you if these systems are going to work. What I can tell you, though, is a World of Warcraft that is just going, borrowed power, borrowed power.
I'm happier that they're doing this. Like, if Blizzard came out and they were like, this cinematic is a massive battle between, let me think, Rathian and, I don't know, the son of Galakrond, right? As like dragons. And then they announce aspect power and like you're going to be able to do like a bunch of other crazy shit and everything like that. Like, yes, that would be cool. However, this actually fills me with more confidence because they're confident enough to go back and innovate and develop the basics of the game. Not trying to create a new Band-Aid for the next 2 years, but actually make the basics of the game better.
Borrowed power is a game that is never fundamentally growing. It's a game that's never investing in better foundations.
Yeah, it's never growing. Yeah, it's a good way to say it.
With the talent revamp and the profession revamp, that is stuff that will last in the game for a long time. And if the developers don't have to think about adding domination shards or whatever the bullshit of the month is into every patch or whatever, and they don't have to think about balancing all the soulbinds and all the conduits and all of that with all of the legendaries and all of the soulbinds. If they don't have to think about that, maybe...
Yes. So Blizzard set themselves up to fail. You are not going to be able to balance a game that has to be balanced across raiding, Mythic Plus, and Arena, and RBGs, and casual PvP. You're not going to be able to balance all 5 of these things together whenever you have to balance classes, talents, conduits, covenants, legendaries. It's not going to happen. Like, it's not. And all of the time that you spend doing this is all time that you spend not making the game better. You see what I'm saying? Like, you're constantly trying to play whack-a-mole with a problem that you created rather than making maybe a new casino game. A new thing instead. Memory's maxing its Windows search bar. I have no idea. I'm not going to worry about it right now. Yeah, don't you think Talent Tree is just going to end up with everyone looking at Icy Veins for a cookie cutter build? Path of Exile is an infinitely complex game, and if you had a talent tree as small as the talent tree that's being added in Dragonflight, PoE players would say that this is a pretty simple patch, okay? In PoE, everybody plays the same meta. If Mathil makes a video and he says Cyclone Champion is good, there's going to be a lot of Cyclone Champions. That's all that, and they're all going to be using what matters. Okay, you need critical strike multiplier, you need fire damage conversion or physical conversion. Like people are always going to follow a meta. I think that the thing is that how much can you allow people to deviate from that meta and have other options they can do instead, based off of preference. The goal should be, this is what I recommend anybody to do who plays PoE, and also, like, with this game, probably the same with WoW. First thing you do, follow a guide. Follow a guide entirely. Do exactly what they say, and then once you understand the class to that extent, then deviate from it a little bit. And then maybe try something different. And then, oh, wait, it doesn't work because this conversion doesn't work this way. Oh, okay, well then, now I see why they did this, and you learn. And then the next thing you do is you try something else and you learn that instead. And so that's the way that I think that people should learn games. And it's like, it would be nice if everybody just went in and there was no internet and, everything like that. But this is not the real world. The way that it works nowadays is that people will go and they'll, look something up and that'll help them understand what they should do instead. And that's exactly what happens. But PoE, there's no group content, a DPS meter. Well, yeah, you're right. But, like, people are still going to play the top builds. Like, look, bro, like, look at this. Like, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on this. But, like, look, where's, like, how can you go to the census of, like, the players? Builds, look at this. Occultist is 15% of the players. Deadeye and Necromancer are 14 and 13%. Now, go down. Juggernaut is 0.8, Chieftain is 0.5, and Trickster is 0.2. That is a massive fucking difference. There's a huge fucking difference. Like, if you're playing this build or that build, you obviously have a massive disadvantage versus somebody who's playing maybe a Necromancer build. I'll go to hardcore. I'm not sure where hardcore is. Where's the ladder? Let me see here. Solo hardcore Arch Nemesis. Yeah, a hardcore is going to be very... Yeah, Trickster 0.6. Most people are playing Champion 19% versus 0.6. Every game is going to be imbalanced. People are going to have this happen no matter what. It's about making the difference between those two things smaller.
Class balance will be better. Maybe there'll be more time to iterate on classes. If our talents are being revamped, does that not kind of mean we're going to be seeing plenty of change for classes? Like, that's the thing. Some of these things are not major new features, but if I log into my mage and it's more fun in the next expansion, is that not the thing that we've purchased for the price of killing borrowed power? I mean, borrowed power could make my mage feel fun for a little bit, but it's going to go away eventually.
Yeah.
So ultimately, that's why I am actually pretty excited and I'm feeling pretty good about this expansion. Yeah. It has a slice of Azeroth that I find to be quite appealing.
Yep.
What seems to be an otter mountain in one of those photos is also really fucking cute, so that's
Dragonflight,
cool.
etc.
We've got Stone Boy, like him. But to be more serious, the talent thing is really good, the profession thing's really good, dragonflying is really good. This just lets them go back to basics and make a really good game without having to worry or bother of any of just the systems design sludge that's held WoW back. Essentially, this is their big opportunity to build the game. Instead of just a bunch of... Well, is that maybe not it? Build the game, not the expansion. So there you go.
It's a smart way to look at it. I like that.
We certainly have an opportunity.
Yeah, I like that. That's good.
You can check out today's sponsor, Skillshare, with the link down below, or just use my promo
there
code.
It is. That's good.
Michael Moore stuff is awesome. So if you're interested in the game dev side of things, you can check that out. Otherwise, stay tuned on the channel. Tomorrow we will have a big old video going into all of the many, many additional details that we can extract from all of the interviews that have taken place.
I'm gonna watch that. I'm gonna watch that for sure. Let me link this.
Actually, and we will have a cheeky little lore video for you on Friday.
I'm
have
looking
a great
forward
day.
To that too. Probably watch that as well. People on your subreddit at complaining they weren't adding anything like Warfronts or Torghast. What the fuck do you expect? Like, what the fuck do you expect? Yeah, there's a video. The Bellular video just came out. Give it a like. Give it a watch. Give Bellular a sub if you haven't done it already. That's a positive. I don't think it's a positive or a negative. I think that they should focus on what they're confident on focusing on rather than trying to make it a bunch of different shit that, like, is something that's completely different. Like, focus on making the game good and then think about a big system like Torghast. I think they should continue Torghast. I think they should try Warfronts again, but with PvP. I think they should. Let's give it another shot. Why not? Why not? Let's try it again. See what happens.